cat is out of the bag. Well, it's been out of the bag for a week and a half now because we already did an event, but what can I say? They got me. I'm a Mustang owner now. Pause the video and type in all the jokes about Mustangs. Best one, best Mustang joke. I would say most original because best and most original because there's so many Mustang jokes out there. I want to hear something original. We'll probably win something cool. I'll think about it. Trust me, it's gonna be worth it. But oh man, I don't even know where to start. I've been on a lookout for something powerful, something cool that I can daily and drift and all of that for like a few years now. Like we bought a Corvette. I didn't really fit with even with the low brackets and everything. I didn't really fit with the helmet on. And since then, it kind of like that itch was never really satisfied. We got the 46 M3, we built that, we caged it, and it turns out, it turned out great, don't get me wrong. That car rips, it's like one of my favorite cars to drive, but it's caged, it has all the drift parts, the engine mounts, everything. The interior is super squeaky because of the cage. It didn't really hit the spot of this car that I can just drive and go to a car meet and or go visit our friends. So it's like, that void was never really fulfilled. So if you remove the Corvette from the consideration, there's not too many cars left that fit the script, that have good interior, good modern interior, that's pleasant, that's nice to be there. It's a nice looking car, it's modern, and it has a powerful engine and has pretty much bulletproof everything, kind of like a complete package from the get-go. Then it's not too many cars like that. The other car that I was kind of thinking about was a Chevy Camaro, but there's no support for them for the drift world. I even talked to a few people who have or are selling the Pontiac GTO, which was another car that I kind of dreamed of, especially before I moved to the United States and I found out what a tricky cars they are. So at one of the drift events, I was talking to my buddy Jesse, who was the previous owner of this car, and he loved his Z, and we started talking, one conversation after another. A few deals were like presented. I think I was definitely out there trying to see if I can get the car and at the same time make sure that both of us got a good deal out of it. So we struck a deal and now we have the Mustang. Interestingly enough, I drove this car before the current state. I drove it just around the block when Jesse just got it, like 2 years ago. I don't know how long ago was that. And it was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. It's a pretty nice place to be. It looks great. It has a lot of cool features. So there was definitely a spot. At that point, I knew that at some point in our life, we're gonna have a Mustang. And it's pretty cool that it's this Mustang 2 years later. And I'm excited about it because I feel like the Mustang, the S550, fits our needs, my needs as a drifter in current state of mind, current age and current everything, the best out of everything else that's on the market. So let's see, what was on my checklist? Has to be strong drivetrain. The diff is pretty strong. The gearbox, the MT82, is kind of a questionable subject because the shifting isn't that great, but the transmission by itself is pretty strong. The Coyote is bulletproof, and one thing I would say, and probably gonna get a lot of hate, I really like how the Coyote sound, especially with an X-pipe, which is something we have to address here. With an X-pipe, high revving, with headers, I feel like that's a better sound. It works more for me. I don't know why, maybe because of the dual overhead cam. It's more kind of like European style V8 rather than the LS. LS is still king, I think, when it comes to like just cheap, reliable power, but the way the Coyote sounds is just, I don't think I don't think anybody can touch that. So drivetrain check, engine check. The interior is super nice. I feel like this interior is one of the nicest interiors we have from all the cars we have. So that's definitely a check. The exterior looks, I like how they look quite a bit. I'm a pretty big RTR fan, so I've definitely that generation. And this I feel like is the best looking one. This is a 2016, haven't talked about the car much, but I will in a second. So looks, check, engine check, drivetrain check, comfortable interior check. That's pretty much, it's all great. Another thing, something that was stopping me from just going and getting one, first, they're still pretty expensive just to become a drift car. And I wouldn't want anything like super beat because I wanted a nice car that I can drive around. and those were kind of like unattainable because of the price point. Luckily for us, this car already saw a little bit of damage, which still kept the car in a great condition, kind of like interior and mechanically and everything. It was just not like a super clean, newish looking car like it used to when Jesse just got it. And I mean, it's drifting, so things happen, which was perfect for me, because if it was super clean, I would definitely be hesitant to drive it hard and like just be aggressive and drive the way I like to drive. All right, there has been a lot of talking, so how about I start showing you more and talking less. So this is a 2016 Ford Mustang GT S550. It already has a GT350 bumper as far as I know. I've been doing more research and trying to catch up on my Mustang knowledge. It has the performance wheels, that's what it came with. They're black, so it's really hard to see them. That's one thing that we're gonna change. Shout out to Koenig. It has the rear spoiler. I'm not sure which packages this comes on. Has the super cool tail lights. I'm not sure I think that's a Mach 1 or something like that, or Mach headlights, tail lights, sorry. It has the 2018 Plus rear diffuser, which needs dual exhausts on each side. We have one, but the whole exhaust system is gonna go, but more on that later. When it comes to the damage that I was talking about, there was a very small hit on this side, which damaged this panel and a little bit over there. The funny thing is, I guess the other car was red, so it looks like it has blood on the side skirt, which with Mustang crowds and grass definitely invites even more jokes. Obviously, you wouldn't want any damage on the car, but if I could choose what kind of damage would I have on the car, this is the kind of damage I would choose. It's like barely cosmetic, nothing really damaged, and it's honestly, you can't really tell from like 30 feet. As you can tell by the front camber, it doesn't have a stock suspension in the front. You probably also noticed it by me pulling in the garage, that it definitely has something going on here. So the only thing you have to worry about as a Coyote owner is the oil pump gears, and super fortunate for us, Jesse already did those, so we can just keep driving and not worry about it. Other than that, everything under the hood is pretty stock. Maybe the catch cans, which are going to be replaced by improved racing ones. Yeah, other than that, it's pretty stock. It has stock headers. I don't even think it has a tune or anything like that. It's pretty stock, so more room for us to play with. All right, there's not much really to show you under the hood, so let's raise the car up and I'll show you what's underneath. All right, so going underneath the car, let's start with the front. One of the super cool things is that this car already came with a FDF angle kit. You guys know I'm a big fan of FDF angle kits. The other thing is the car came with yellow speed coilovers, which I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep. I'm a big fan of BC Racing. I've been BC Racing driver for what, 10 years almost now, so we might put BC Racing coilovers on it. The car has adjustable end links and a sway bar, which is great because big cars, I feel like they need good sway bar to keep the chassis, good front sway bar, let's rephrase, to keep the chassis planted. As you guys can see, the engine is dry, there's no leaks, everything seems in order, just pretty good stock car. Here comes one of the areas that I definitely want to address, is that this car doesn't have any sort of exhaust crossflow. Like, there's no H-pipe, there's no X-pipe, there's nothing. This was done before Jesse, so don't gang up on Jesse. And the welds don't look pretty horrible. And despite that, it still sounds okay. So I can only imagine how great it would sound with a proper exhaust system. Not sure quite what I'm gonna get, but it has to have an X-pipe. So you have an idea, let me know. The horrible exhaust just continues here. Yeah, this is gonna go for sure. As you can see by all the markings and everything, I already did a lot of work on this car. This corner was a little damaged from the hit, and so I had to replace all these control arms. Other thing I did is, like you can see, the sway bar links are disconnected. And that is done because on a big chassis like this, you want as much side bite as you can get. I forgot, this car is the first car that we have that has a dual caliper. All our other cars have an inline caliper, and funny enough, it doesn't work, and we bled it a bunch of times. I mean, we're gonna investigate more and get to the bottom of this for sure, but for now the hydro doesn't really work. So like you can see, the car is not crazy modified, and that's exactly how I want it. I don't want to put like diff bushings before I have to. I don't want to put subframe bushings before I have to. I don't really want to change the engine mounts, to put solid engine mounts. I want the car to be nice, streetable car that can go to a drift event and kick ass. And that's exactly what this car did a few weeks ago. So we got the car, I had to replace one of the rear corner suspension, and after that it was just bolt checking the whole car because the car sat for a while, and I'm the kind of person who likes to bolt check everything. So we aligned the car for the first time, got it to our test spot, did some testing, and the car ripped for sure, but the alignment wasn't perfect. Luckily, we have an alignment rack at the shop, so back on the alignment, more changes. We ended up being around 7.5 degrees of caster slide toe out, and then a few other small secrets that I'm not gonna discuss just yet, because I wanna confirm that that's exactly what helped. And then gas, oil change, we put red line in it. Of course, all our cars run on red line. There's no point of running anything else. It's not that more expensive, and oil in your engine is arguably the most important part. And just like that, we were drifting at Coda. And not just on the skid pad where we usually drift. They actually let us drive on the big track. And thanks to Aaron from Lone Star Drift, I mean, this was definitely one of the bucket list things to drive at the actual Formula One track. And the car drove amazing. The FDF angle kit and the correct alignment definitely did the trick. I mean, don't get me wrong, by no means the car steered like an E36 or an E46. I mean, those are arguably the best steering cars that exist in drifting, but it was super manageable. Yeah, the steering is a little slow, and the biggest issue, which I wouldn't even call it an issue, with a setup like this, it's totally drivable, and there's like a few people that drift in Pro-Am that have no problems. The best thing I can describe it is, when the car is at angle and you're steering, there's absolutely almost no difference. The car still is normal. I mean, yeah, the steering might feel a little lighter than on the hydraulic steering car, or depends what other car you drive. I don't think it feels any different from the E46 M3, because I can't really compare it with a competition car, because it's like a very different animal. But E46 M3 and this car, when they're at angle and you're drifting, they feel almost identical. Here comes the biggest difference. As you're transitioning on the E46 or any other, you can just let go of the steering wheel and the car will transition it for you, and you have to just pretty much grab the steering wheel. Well, that depends on how your setup is. My cars, and maybe that's why I got used to the Mustang pretty fast, are not really set up for this kind of like a let go and grab. My cars have are on the low side of caster, so every time I'm transitioning, I have to kind of like start feeding the steering wheel. Even on the A36 or the A46, I kind of have to like start steering it, but then it kind of like steers by itself. So, and I purposely force myself keeping my hands on the steering wheel because I feel like it's a pretty good habit. So I'm not just like chilling and waiting for the car to transition, which is not gonna work in this car. This car, with the angle kit and alignment that I have at this stage, as you're sideways and you want to transition, as the car is transitioning, you have to start steering, and you literally have to just start it. And you start steering it, and then you can let it go for a little bit, and it's gonna steer for you. This thing is crazy. Like, it's just literally kind of like this. You see the RTRs, how they like just wheels are about to flop. That's how this car looks. So long story short, it's totally manageable, totally doable. The AC works in the car, so I would literally just drive in line, have AC in line, chill there with the passenger, and then once we are the next car in line, I roll my windows down, turn off the AC, I go rip. Funny enough, as you're sitting in line, it's cooling down faster with the AC because the computer, because of the AC is running, the computer is running the fan on maximum speed, which is enough fan to cool down the car faster, as if you're just sitting without the AC. Lastly, but pretty important, one of the reasons I'm pretty excited to be a Ford Mustang owner and drift a Ford Mustang is because I don't really see any other manufacturer invest so much in drifting. Like, we went to FD Atlanta a few weeks ago, and the amount of budget and the amount of effort Ford makes to help drifting, and obviously they're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart, right? They see a potential there, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm really happy to see that big companies like Ford see the potential in drifting and invest in drifting. And because there is, I feel like drifting is the most amazing thing since sliced bread, and not a lot of companies invest in that. So every time a company sees what drifting is and what drifting is going to be, and they want to invest in that, I'm all for it. Like, just because of that, I'm willing to support those companies, and because they're going to support drifters, and so we have to support them back. And before, I didn't really have a chance to kind of like buy a Ford product, but now that this happened, there's going to be way more videos coming. Even though I don't really want to mod this car, I'm still going to mod it, but in a way where it maintains its drivability and a comfortable interior, and maybe make it even a better drift car. There's like a few products that I have in mind that are going to improve steering. I'm already working on it. I'm not quite ready to talk about it right now. So far, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys like my Mustang, and I'll see you guys next time.